Welcome to November in the beautiful city of Surrey, British Columbia. And if you think I'm rubbing it in, you might be right. I picked up a couple of rosemary plants from the nursery on sale. I always like a bargain. These are $1.50 each, and I'm going to overwinter these in the greenhouse. Now, the one great thing about November in these parts is it's time to start planting. Back in the early part of the season, I usually buy some lettuce plugs and I pop them in at the end of winter to give us an early start. But there's no excuse at this time of year. You've got to sow your own seeds. And so I got some going back in September, kept them watered throughout October. I'm going to plant them out now. This is probably the coldest and shadiest part of our garden. This is on the northeast side of the house. It really doesn't get much sun. So it's going to be fun to see how these fare into the winter. One of my subscribers, whose name I shall not say, gives me a hard time about not growing enough stuff over the winter. And you know, he might be right, but you know what, just to rub it in, I really want to successfully grow some lettuce in the coldest part of my garden over the winter, just to say, hey. I'm thinking I may put a hoop house cover over this, but then again I may not, and if I do, I think a single layer will suffice. Just saying. The leaves on the asparagus are turning a yellowish brown, and I think now's as good a time as any to cut it back. Soil level in the raised beds has sunk a bit, so I'm going to top them up with some spent tomato compost, and then I'm adding a layer of wood chips. The mulch will protect the crowns over winter and help to keep the weeds down. A couple of weeks ago we started rooting some garlic, and 2 weeks on, this is what we have. As you can see, I mean, look at that. All roots, no shoots. I think it's time to plant. Right, it couldn't be much easier. You want the top of the clove about 2 inches below the soil surface. There's no need to get a micrometer out, it'll do. That's all there is to it. How easy is that for growing one of my favourite alliums? Whew, I think I'm getting a bit of a sweat on. Of the 54 cloves that I planted, only 5 of them failed to fire, and that's okay. I'm going to pop them back in a module tray and give them a second chance. Now, Woody sent some garlic that kind of went mouldy in the post, but I planted some of it anyway. I think I had 8 small slivers, and they've all fired. And in fact, we're getting roots underneath. I'm going to leave these in the module trays for another week or even maybe 2 weeks, and then I'll take another look at them. Now, he also sent some bulbils, and look at these. Now, I understand it's difficult to grow garlic from bulbils. All kinds of things can go wrong, but we have shoots from all 5. Difficult to grow or not, so far so good. Our rosemary can be very sensitive to our winter growing conditions, and I take mine inside the greenhouse as a precaution. I did a lot of reading up on rosemary a few years ago because I'd lost a few plants, and everything I read, I found it's all contradictory. They say that it's a Mediterranean herb and it shouldn't really live below about 0 degrees Celsius or 30 degrees Fahrenheit, yet everywhere you look there's examples of quite the opposite. And so I think what you've got to do is just note your own experiments, note your own experiences, and make your own decisions. I know what I'm going to do. One of the things that rosemary likes is a lot of light, and they say you should store it over winter facing in a southerly or a southwesterly direction. And that's fine. But in this part of the world, the majority of our winter winds are southwesterlies, so that's not going to help. We could store it on the northeast side of the house to protect it from those winds, but then it's not going to get as much light. I am storing it in a northeasterly facing greenhouse, and I know for a fact that it's going to be alright. Now, if I wanted to take cuttings from it, I should have done that a few weeks ago. But seeing as I got these bargains for $1.50, I didn't bother. I will be taking a few cuttings off this later, but that's because we're having lamb for dinner tonight. I took some bay cuttings. I saw Brian at Allotment Life doing it, and I thought, you know, why not give it a go myself? It's a bit of an experiment, and I'm going to try and overwinter them in the greenhouse. Now, the bay plant itself is in a container, and that goes into the house. It is far too tender for this climate. Now I understand that in the UK the clocks went back last week and ours went back last night, which means I have an hour less to enjoy this beautiful day. But that's okay, because right now I think it's time for a beer. And until next time, cheers. That's a very nice one. Red Racer Northwest Pale Ale.